Seattle Seahawks fans, I don't know about you, but it feels like we are playing a dangerous game by standing pat while the rest of the league improves. Rumors are circulating that general manager John Schneider is eyeing a massive move for Raiders star pass rusher Maxx Crosby to bolster our defense. Acquiring a defensive powerhouse like Crosby while we defend our Super Bowl title would be the ultimate statement of intent to the entire NFL. And honestly, the more details come out, the harder it is to ignore what is going on behind the scenes. Smash that like button, subscribe, and drop your name and city in the comments. Let's get into it. The Seattle Seahawks are currently riding the high of being the defending Super Bowl champions, yet the front office is reportedly eyeing a blockbuster move to bolster our pass rush by potentially acquiring Las Vegas Raiders star defensive end Maxx Crosby. Crosby has long been considered one of the most disruptive forces in the NFL, though his time in Las Vegas has become increasingly complicated following reports of a fractured relationship with the franchise stemming from his injury management last season. While a previous attempt to trade him to Baltimore fell through due to a failed physical, the prospect of landing an all-pro talent is certainly stirring the pot here in the Pacific Northwest. We are talking about a major potential acquisition that would require significant draft capital, likely a first-round pick combined with a secondary piece or player. And honestly, the chemistry between the Raiders and their head coach Clint Kubiak, who is quite familiar with our roster, adds an intriguing layer of complexity to these trade rumors. For us fans, this news hits a bit differently because we are currently balancing the pride of our recent championship with the reality that our roster depth remains largely unchanged. Seeing a potential move like this triggers a deep nostalgic appreciation for the aggressive team-building strategies that defined our golden eras. Many in our community wonder if we should protect our core young stars like Devin Witherspoon or Byron Murphy too at all costs, even if it means missing out on a proven veteran. As we digest these reports, a critical tension emerges. If John Schneider is willing to sacrifice top draft picks, does that signal a lack of internal faith in our current defensive depth to repeat this coming season? Or is this just standard championship ambition? Maxx Crosby might be the missing piece for our defense, but his path to Seattle is complicated by a failed physical that previously nuked a deal with Baltimore. This uncertainty stems from a fractured relationship with the Raiders following their mishandling of his knee injury, which sidelined him during a critical stretch last season. Think about it this way. We have seen teams gamble on injured stars before, yet the high risk of a physical failure usually keeps general managers like John Schneider cautious. Schneider likely views this situation through a lens of extreme professional skepticism, weighing whether a blockbuster move disrupts the chemistry that brought us a championship. The front office remains focused on long-term sustainability under Mike Macdonald, and they understand that parting with premium draft capital for a player with documented health red flags is a massive organizational gamble. While Raiders head coach Clint Kubiak certainly knows our roster depth well, trading away reliable secondary pieces like Julian Love would be a difficult pill to swallow for a defense that prides itself on cohesiveness. We must remember that our current core was built through smart, calculated drafting, and disrupting that rhythm for an aging or injured pass rusher could backfire if the medical concerns linger. Coaches in the building are likely debating if the immediate upgrade in sack production outweighs the potential loss of locker room stability. We know the 2026 season requires perfection to repeat as champions, so the front office is likely playing a waiting game to see if the asking price drops significantly before making any final commitment. While the temptation to add a disruptive force like Crosby is undeniable for any dedicated fan, the cold reality of his recent medical history serves as a stark reminder of the risks involved in this aggressive approach. Standing at the summit of the NFL, the Seahawks face a precarious moment where complacency could easily dismantle our championship foundation. We are essentially betting our repeat hopes on the current roster, but adding a defensive anchor like Maxx Crosby would signal that the front office remains aggressive in protecting our hard-earned throne. Now here's the thing, integrating a player of his elite caliber instantly transforms our pass rush from respectable to league-leading, effectively allowing Mike Macdonald to deploy complex defensive schemes that overwhelm opposing quarterbacks. While sacrificing a first-round pick and depth pieces like Julian Love feels like a steep price, it drastically shores up our ability to contain mobile signal callers during high-stakes divisional clashes against the Sean McVay-led Rams. This move would shift our standing significantly, moving us from a team defending its title to a dominant force that forces opponents to completely rethink their offensive game plans. Imagine the difference in late-season matchups against NFC powerhouses if we have a relentless Pro Bowl-level disruptor crashing the edge on every critical third down. Such a trade optimizes our narrow window of contention, ensuring our depth chart reflects the high standards set by last year's historic run. By thinning our secondary depth to acquire a premier talent, we prioritize quality over quantity, a calculated risk that is often the hallmark of dynasties. If Schneider pulls the trigger, we effectively insulate ourselves against the inevitable attrition of an 18-week slog, keeping our playoff path clear and our defense fearsome. It is a bold, necessary adjustment for a team that has already tasted the ultimate victory and refuses to let that glory fade into a distant memory, keeping our sights firmly locked on a successful defense of the Lombardi Trophy throughout this upcoming winter. Adding a fierce competitor like Maxx Crosby to our defensive front represents the ultimate championship maneuver to ensure our Seattle Seahawks remain atop the league hierarchy. The upside is clear because pairing an elite, relentless pass rusher with Mike Macdonald's tactical brilliance would create a nightmare scenario for any quarterback facing our unit. By securing a player of his caliber, we signal to the entire NFL that we are not content with just one trophy and intend to defend our status with absolute aggression. However, we must address the significant risks involved with such a transaction. Parting with valuable draft capital and established secondary depth could leave us vulnerable if injuries strike or if we fail to maintain our trademark defensive discipline. Analysts around the league are buzzing about the potential fit, with many whispering that the Raiders are desperate for a fresh start, yet others worry about the heavy cost associated with a player coming off a failed physical. The bottom line here is that trading for a superstar involves a delicate balance between immediate gain and long-term sustainability. Coaches across the league are watching this situation closely to see if John Schneider is willing to gamble on a high-stakes defensive upgrade. Here is where I land on this. While the price is admittedly steep and makes me nervous, I believe that windows for repeat championships are incredibly small in this era of professional football. If we possess the right assets to acquire a perennial All-Pro, we should pull the trigger and seize the moment before the opportunity vanishes forever. A defense led by Crosby and coached by Macdonald would be the most intimidating force in the sport, making the steep investment worth every single penny we might lose in the draft. It is a bold, championship-caliber risk that defines a true contender. Defending a championship title requires a rare blend of stability and aggressive evolution, and John Schneider now faces the ultimate test of his career as we look toward the horizon. By considering a high-stakes move for Maxx Crosby, the franchise is clearly signaling that our window of contention is not just open, but meant to be seized with every resource available. This approach suggests a long-term commitment to remaining a physical, defensive powerhouse that keeps opponents uncomfortable. This is where it gets real, as we must balance the preservation of our core identity with the hunger to stack rings while our current nucleus remains in their prime. You should feel a deep sense of confidence heading into this season, not just because of the trophy in our case, but because our front office is proactively searching for ways to get better rather than settling for past success. It is vital to maintain this aggressive mindset to stave off the rest of the league, ensuring that the excellence we achieved under Mike Macdonald becomes a sustained standard rather than a fleeting moment in history. We are fortunate to watch a team that refuses to stand still while others scramble to catch up. Whether or not we pull the trigger on a blockbuster trade, the goal remains singular and sharp. If you were sitting in the general manager chair, would you be willing to sacrifice significant draft capital to pair a proven superstar like Maxx Crosby with our existing defensive front, or would you prefer to keep our young draft picks intact to ensure depth for the future? Please let us know your thoughts in the comments section below. If you enjoyed the video, do not forget to like it and subscribe to the channel. Go Hawks! I'll see you in the next one.